All right, stackers, you guys ready to save some serious money? Maybe upgrade some experiences? Well, the man who's going to do that, no pressure, Matt Schulz in the basement. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
What really I like, the way that you begin this project, Matt, is you kind of say, you're kind of like, you know what? I'm not a natural born negotiator, and you don't have to be either. I mean, that filled me full of confidence. A guy who calls himself not a natural born negotiator teaching me how to negotiate. How did you decide, of all people, then, to create a book to negotiate for better stuff?
I'm a guy who, if I'm in a room of even like friends that I know pretty well, I'm not necessarily the guy who's going to raise his hand and speak up and that sort of thing. It's just not really me. I mean, my job is to go on camera and do interviews and all that sort of stuff, but that's a different animal. So in the course of doing these interviews, basically, I've done a ton of them about the fact that 3 out of every 4 people who ask for a lower interest rate on their credit card get one, but hardly anyone ever asks. And I got so much reaction over and over and over again. I ended up speaking with 110, 120 people, and to a degree, it ended up becoming kind of a little bit of a self-exploration and a little bit of a regular therapy session for me to figure out how to do some of these things.
I feel like, Matt, you put yourself out there as a guinea pig on some of these and go, let's just try it and see what happens.
Yeah, no question.
Let's begin here because, as you know, Matt, this is all about confidence. And what I like that you do in this project is you help us build our confidence by going, you know what, you might think you're not a good negotiator, but you negotiate more often than you think you are, than you do. You actually are a better negotiator than you think. Tell us, build our confidence, Matt. How are we better at negotiating than we think we are?
You're better at negotiating than you think you are because you do it all the time in life, even if you don't recognize that you're doing it, and even if the stakes really aren't that high. Anybody with a roommate or a partner has probably had a conversation about what to set the thermostat at in your house, and that's negotiation, right? Any parent has probably had a conversation about who's taking what day in the carpool to take the kids to soccer practice, or things like when to have that meeting at work. All of this sort of stuff that doesn't necessarily sound like it equates to negotiating a job promotion or haggling over medical bills. All of this stuff matters, and it's really, if you view it kind of in a sports kind of vein, it's really about kind of getting your reps in and realizing that for a lot of us, we've gotten a lot more of these reps in already than we realize, and that we should feel a little better about ourselves going into this kind of stuff.
Well, I think part of it, Matt, is the way we frame negotiation. Like we think, okay, I'm negotiating against Matt. I got to make him pay. I got to get every last dollar. And you even reset that. You're like, whoa, 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 whoa. I mean, the thermostat is an example. Everybody to some degree has got to be happy. Let's reset for you what negotiation truly looks like and what it's not.
Yeah, it looks good in the movies where everybody is like really hardcore and alpha and banging on tables and stuff like that. But when negotiations go really well and when they leave everybody happy is when it's a win-win. So you go into a negotiation not trying to completely take advantage of the person next to you. You're trying to go into it making it where everybody's going to be happy at the end. And a kind of a classic example is if you are negotiating with a contractor or a handyman or somebody like that, and you say, can you give me a little bit of a lower rate? And if you do, I'll make sure to tell my friends about you, to give you a good review online, that sort of thing. So there's so many examples of things that you can do to help the other person when they are trying to help you. And it's just a really good mindset to have going in.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts of your introduction here is you're like, listen, yelling at the customer service rep gets nobody anywhere. Like that. I've seen people do that to restaurant waiters and it's just like, come on, we all got to win. Let's dive into some of the painful places first, and then we'll give people more experience. I want to start off with credit cards. You talked about maybe a lower rate on our credit card. Um, you say that can happen. Let's walk people through that. How do I successfully negotiate a lower rate on my credit card?
It absolutely can happen. And like I said, about 3 out of every 4 people who ask for a lower interest rate on their credit card get one. And the average reduction the last time we did that survey at Lending Tree was about 6 percentage points. So it's like going from 25% to 19% on your credit card. It's a really big deal. It can save you a lot of money. And the best way to do it is to come in armed with some information and having done some legwork. So it's important, for one, to know generally what kind of credit you have, because if you have really bad credit and you go in asking for the best possible rate on that credit card, you're probably going to be disappointed. But you can kind of adjust your expectations that way. The other thing that you can do once you've kind of figured that out is look at other offers that you might find, whether it's on the credit card issuer website for maybe the actual card that you have. You can see what new interest rates they're offering new applicants, or you can look at solicitations that might have come in your snail mail or email or things like that to basically get an idea of offers that you know that you'll qualify for. Then you can pick up the phone and say, hey, I've used your card for a long time. I like it. I've never missed a payment, but I've seen offers out there that I can get 19% on this interest rate, but mine right now is 25. Is there any way that you can match? And there's a really good chance that they will work with you. At a minimum, they're almost always going to listen.
And you say that if they don't accept right away, there still might be some recourse.
Yeah, it's the fact is that sometimes the person you're talking to has had a really rough day and they've been yelled at more often than a customer service rep usually gets yelled at.
Oh, and they're kind of now taking it out on you, then, is what you're saying, inadvertently.
Oh yeah, it certainly can happen. I mean, if you get a hold of the wrong person who's just had a bad day or who just isn't feeling it that day, and you don't get your way, wait a day or two and just try again and try and see if you get a little more receptive customer service rep. There's no guarantee that that'll work out, but it certainly can.
Let's go to the next thing. Our mortgage, our rent payment. Those are big things in life. Sometimes we lose our job. We've seen some people in the tech sector, especially news as we're recording this. Microsoft just closed up some of their studios for their video game divisions, as an example. Wow. So you've got some people having hard times, but you say if you have hard times, we can call and maybe get a payment or two skipped.
Yeah, this is a really important thing. And it's certainly something that we learned a lot about during the pandemic when so many people were unemployed so quickly. That lenders tend to have these things called hardship programs, which are basically breaks that they give to people who are going through short-term financial rough patches. And it might be extending their credit limit, temporarily lowering their interest rate, allowing them to skip a payment, things like that. You're not going to get these breaks permanently necessarily, but if you call and you're upfront with them and you kind of make yourself vulnerable and say, hey, I'm going through this, I want to get your money, but it's a tough time right now, there's a good chance that your lender is going to work with you because they know that if they are good to you during rough times, you're going to spend more with them during the good times. So it's ultimately in their best interest to keep you happy.
Let's do one more thing, tell people who might be struggling. And this is a good one, especially for our older stackers. You've got this way to maybe get a lower price on prescriptions. How do we go about the prescription game?
It's not necessarily a guarantee that this works, but it's a really simple question that is really easy to ask and can really be worth your time. So the question is, what is the cash price for this prescription? And if you ask any pharmacist, whether a chain store or a small independent place, they're going to know the answer or be able to find that answer for you. And what that means is essentially, what's the cost of this prescription if I pay for it out of pocket instead of using my insurance? And it doesn't always save you to use the cash price, but sometimes if you avoid using insurance and some of the markups that come with insurance and all the middlemen that are involved, sometimes it can actually be cheaper, but you won't necessarily know until you ask.
It's so funny because I just get done reading this as I'm prepping for this interview, and a friend I know actually did this, walked in and asked, and the particular prescription, I don't remember which brand it was, and this is at a CVS, everybody. The difference was, to your point, Matt, for this particular subscription, so much less. It blew him away how much less. So he's like, I'm paying out of pocket.
Yeah, again, it's really the classic example of it doesn't hurt to ask.
And I'm that guy, Matt, like most of you, that are just, I'm afraid to ask. I'm like, why do I deserve special treatment? Like, why would I? But man, the resounding theme you're saying over and over, just ask. Like, you're already at no.
Yeah, yeah. And it really is, again, about just being confident enough to ask and understanding that the worst thing that happens is that they say no, generally speaking. And if they say yes, or if they give you your way, then amazing things can happen.
Well, let's have some fun here. We help people save some money that might be in need. We help you lower your cost, and maybe skip a payment or two, which is very valuable. But let's go the other side, Matt. Let's go the fun side. I'm at the hotel. I got a parking lot view. I'm on the third floor. Man, I'd appreciate a pool view and maybe a higher floor. You say that if you do this right, maybe you can get this done too.
Yeah, it's, again, this is certainly about seasonality. I mean, if you are in trying to get a hotel room near Rockefeller Center when they're putting up the Christmas tree at Christmas time, or I use the example of Tuscaloosa, Alabama on Alabama football game day. Probably not going to be a lot of hotels around, but no, the truth is that just by asking nicely and maybe doing your homework a little bit beforehand, a lot of times you can get your way. And it really isn't about much more than being nice and recognizing that the person on the other side of the counter, again, probably been yelled at 10 times that day. And you can kind of separate yourself a little bit by just being nice. And one of the other really good things that you can do is do a little bit of homework, where maybe you look in the app or you look online and you find the name of a specific type of room, because different hotel chains call different rooms different things. And if you say, hey, I'm in town for my class reunion, or my sister's getting married or something like that, and I'd really love to have the deluxe king corner suite, and ask kind of specifically like that, it can show them a little bit that you've done your homework and you're not just asking randomly, and that can help you a little bit too.
And you're sharing a little bit about the occasion. I think that's probably important as well.
Yes, any time that you can share an occasion, and you can say, hey, it would really make an amazing event even more special if I could have a little bit more room. That can be a useful thing too. And also, especially if you are doing like a solemn occasion, like you're in town for a funeral or something like that, that sort of stuff can help you maybe connect a little bit with the person behind the checkout counter, and they may be willing to help you out a little bit to make a tough time a little easier on you.
Any of this work to get a sexier rental car?
It certainly can. Again, it really depends on timing and seasonality. But one of the things that you can do to kind of improve your odds of getting that upgraded rental car is to rent basically the cheapest car that's on the lot, because most people, that's what they do, because they just want to get their rental car, they want to get out and get moving, and they don't want to spend a ton of money on it. So that cheapest car is probably the one that is the most likely to already be booked up or be out of the lot already. So if that car isn't available, they automatically would have to upgrade you, and that can be a useful way to go about it too.
That's fabulous. You know what, guys? We just scratched the surface. Matt talks about credit and debt, healthcare, housing, shopping, travel, work, relationships. What I also love that you did today was you paid it forward, and your epilogue is all about paying it forward for people. Matt, the book is Ask Questions, Save Money, Make More. It's out now. People can get it everywhere, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Dude, it is so great speaking with you again. Thank you for being such a mentor for us today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me in the basement. This was fun.